Hi folks. So my last video I talked about my partners for 2022, who I'll be working with. This video will be kind of part two of the 2022 plans video. The first I got to do is tell you what I'm not going to be doing, which is Cycling News. When they wrote their article about the new jukebox team, the headline was Phil Gaimon returns to racing with new gravel program, except the press release didn't say that. I never said that. Nobody called me. I was never planning to race gravel. So they corrected that. Call me next time, Cycling News. What's up? Come on. I know you've got my number. So I'm not going to be doing that. And I get the question all the time, when are we going to see you at SBT? When are you going to race Unbound? And normally when people ask you the same question over and over, it kind of means that you should obey it and start doing it. And I'm not going to, and I thought I should kind of explain myself once and hopefully for the last time. And the reason is I did the bike racing thing, that I dedicated my started in college. I went to class, but I was trained to be a cyclist. I graduated from school. I signed to Jelly Belly. I was paid $2,000 a year. I spent many years sleeping on couches, sleeping in my car, sprinting for preems to get to the next race. My dream was to be a professional bike racer. It took everything I had, and I every time I got somewhere on this ladder, I realized like, oh crap, like being a pro isn't that great. I was on a continental team. Now I've got to be world tour, and I buckled down, and I did that. I went to Garmin Sharp at 28 years old. I won my first race. And then I did very well that year for a first year pro. And at the end of that year, there was a merger with the Cannondale team, and I was knocked down to a smaller tier pro team. I was on Optum the next year. I won Redlands again, had another solid season, signed back to the same team, which was now called Cannondale Drapac the next year. And all of this, it was a dream come true. All I ever wanted was to be a pro, to live in Girona, to kind of live that lifestyle. But I never really got to enjoy it for trying to get it and then for trying to hold on to it. In 2016, I ended up with like a really not a great race schedule for me. They just kept sending me to flat Belgian rainy races and nothing with hills. I did everything I was told. I felt that I was a big part of that team. I thought I kind of deserved another extension, or at least, the most I ever got paid was $65,000 a year, which is real tricky when you've got an apartment in the US, an apartment there, and you're supposed to like act like a professional and eat, shop at Whole Foods and get massage on the weekends, that kind of thing. And ultimately it was all I wanted. I gave a decade to it. I left. At the end of that year, I wasn't renewed by Cannondale Drapac. Nobody else, other teams didn't want me. And I could look at those teams, this last video, I could look at those teams and say, oh, I'm better than that guy, and that guy on your team. But I could also look at those teams and like, no one's like, oh, we need a Phil. But ultimately I had to give up on bike racing. It broke my heart. I'll be dead honest. I put everything into it, and it annihilated me to accept that. I had to write a book to process it. My first book was Pro Cycling $10 a Day, and that was about getting to the World Tour. And that was my happy ending, was I signed that contract with Cannondale, with Garmin Sharp. And then 2 years later, I was like, oh crap, I have to write another book, because that dream kind of sucked. And here's the reality. And that's what Draft Animals was. And that was me processing it. And I've moved on from it. I fell into content on accident. Ultimately everything is content. Ultimately the Tour de France is content. So the teams that are selling, $10 million sponsorships, what they're doing is they're saying, hey, this many people are going to watch this, they're going to buy your products. So you should write us big checks. And gravel racers, it's also content. We're watching gravel, you're reading the articles, you're looking at their social media. All that's the same thing. What I'm doing is just the content, and the racing isn't my vehicle. I really enjoy doing Kill Phil. I like riding gravel. I enjoy riding on dirt roads. I always have. I had a blast with Alex and Keel in the desert. I had a really good time at Rebecca's Private Idaho. I missed the start there, and it wasn't on purpose, but I'm glad it happened because I wasn't going to do the kind of race part. But the whole thing of just like, being in a pack of people and bumping elbows. When I watch a bike race on TV, I can't believe I ever did that. I can't believe how bad I wanted to do that. And I fully say that knowing that if they'd re-signed me every year, I would still be in the World Tour racing and enjoying myself. I never would have found this kind of better life. But the life that I'm in now, where I'm creative and I show off my sponsors in other ways, in adventures and my own challenges in Strava. I love being my best. I love training hard. I love kind of putting in the work. All of that works for me, and I really don't need racing, and it would feel emotionally like kind of a backslide. But ultimately, the reason that I'm not racing is that the bike racing community had a long look at me over the years and decided that I was worthless. I have since proven that I am not worthless. Thanks to you folks, I've been able to do way cooler stuff. The year I retired, there were 3 separate times that I did 400 watts for an hour. A couple years after that, I did a world-class pursuit. A year after that, and in between, I had a giant, horrible crash that made me famous. And after that, I set the new Everesting record. So a pursuit and an Everesting record. I think I've shown like I'm a real athlete, and I don't need a race to do that. But I'm making a living on my own terms. You don't need the competition. What you're witnessing is my revenge on pro cycling and on bike racing, and that's by, they rejected me. I've had to reject that. So to the folks who do the whole racing arc and still have the fire to compete at gravel or anything else, mad respect. It's not me. It's not what I want to do, and thankfully I don't have to, and I'll keep going my merry way. Okay, on that note, I hope everyone understands and stop asking me to race bikes. On that note, what I am doing this year, now I told you what I'm not doing. What I am doing, nothing is super solid. The only thing that's penned in my calendar, I talked about my partners in the last video. The most important partner I have going is Emily Alvarez. I will be marrying her at the end of April. That's in the calendar. The rest of it's the same day as the Belgian waffle ride. So that's why I'm not going to be there. But after party for a couple of my buddies will be at the wedding. It's only a few hours. What I will be doing, I still have some K1s I want to go for. When COVID hit, I was in Atlanta, and I kind of had to run back to LA before I thought airports might get shut down. I'd love to finish that trip and do a couple more videos in the Southeast. Love to get up to kind of Virginia. I've always wanted to do videos around there. There's Colorado. There's always some good stuff. I've got some friends around there. There's Emily's from Miami. I have a video. I'm going to end up in Miami. I'm going to do one video. That'll be fun. I have an idea. It's not known for their hills. And then we've got, I want to get to Portland. I want to get to Seattle. Those are on the list. This is kind of the next 2 years, what I'm thinking. Would be amazing to get to Europe. That's been kind of on my mental list, but just logistically hard and expensive to get a camera person and me. And, you go there, it's got to be a long time to make it worth your while. So far, luckily, the U.S. has plenty of great places and people to ride with. I do want to get there. I will definitely go to the Whistler Fondo with Jukebox. That's going to be kind of like our team gathering get together. They're based out of Vancouver. Oh yeah, I'm not done with Everesting. I'm kind of just done talking about Everesting. I'm not in shape to Everest yet. I'm going to do a slow build. I'm going to stay healthy, and I'm going to get my fitness back the proper way. When I'm ready to Everest, I'm going to Everest. I'm not going to do the whole crazy build up arc like I did before. It was fun interviewing everyone who got the record, but I think I talked about Everesting enough. Next time I Everest, you'll just be like, oh, he Everested. That's how that's going to go if I can get myself together for that. That is still in the back of my mind. I'm going to do Phil's Tour of California. I've talked about this before. I had to postpone it twice. It's going to be on this year, and that's the same time of year we used to have the Tour of California. So like kind of mid to late May, we're going to ride from San Francisco or Sacramento to LA. It's going to be, join me for a mile, join me for the week, join me for 1 day. I'm not charging anything. We're not providing any support. It's just going to be a no kid hungry thing. Bring a backpack, bring a credit card, whatever, and figure out your own deal. But I love to kind of have other people raise funds, or just push it to this, and just a big awareness. You tell your friends, I tell my friends, and we kind of try to do a big no kid hungry campaign this year around that. My events will be on. Phil's Cookie Fondo again will be in October. We have and I'm going to start a gravel event. Notice I didn't say gravel race. We will not know who. Same as people used to race century rides and fondos. They used to treat them as races. My fondo really kind of was a rebellion from that. We stopped for cookies. We play games at the aid stations. I have no idea who's won the fondo. And the gravel event is going to be kind of a similar vibe. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, everybody has a good time, and there's no reason to, there's no argy-bargy. I love that term, argy-bargy, underused. So keep an eye out for that. If you want to see my events or whatever, philsfondo.com has a mailing list. My social media, Strava, I'm pretty good about putting my events in the Strava. There's Phil's Cookie Club. I'll put the events in there. It's a little bit harder to kind of keep people on YouTube abreast of what I'm about to do, if you want to join me. So check me out on the other places. And then here's where I document it and share them after the fact. So yeah, that's the plan. That's what we got going on. And right now I'm in Tucson. You might not have noticed this is not my garage that we're in. I'm in Tucson. I'm going to do a video with Lionel Sanders today. Actually, I better get going. But that'll be kind of the first episode of Worst Triathlon Ever this year. And then it'll be less triathletes, I think, moving forward. But yeah, I got to run and see Lionel. You'll see that coming up when we can get around to editing and whatnot. But that's going to be fun. All right, see ya.